Next at 5, how a local family is using their late daughter as inspiration to help in the fight against a progressive eye disease.
Plus, the impact on local businesses after a bus crashes into those businesses last night. A closer look at what happened. And it was a near record-breaking year in 2024 for the Dane County Regional Airport. We'll take a closer look at the numbers. You're watching News 3 Now at 5. And thanks for joining us. 12 million people in the United States experience vision impairment, and more than 100,000 of them are right here in Wisconsin.
Our Ellie La Liberté shows us how one family is using stationary bikes to help.
Her daughter, starting from the age of 2, was diagnosed with retinitis pigmentosa, which is a progressive eye disease which eventually leads to blindness.
Tim and Nancy Valentine lost their daughter Kenzie in 2017.
But she weathered that storm for 30 years, lived to the age of 30, which was way beyond what anyone expected. But if you knew Kenzie, that wouldn't surprise you.
Kenzie's parents describe her as compassionate, but strong-willed.
We are committed to do this.
Which is why the Valentines are now on a mission.
Keep going, keep fighting, keep raising money.
Cycle for Sight is an annual event that supports the McPherson Eye Research Institute at UW, raising money for vision research grants like the Kenzie Valentine Research Award.
This project, this idea that I had, there was no other funding source for it, basically.
Celia Bisbach is one of those grant recipients.
That's really enabled me to push this project forward much faster than I would have been able to otherwise.
Part of her work tests different therapies that help to prevent blindness. It's exactly why Kenzie's team signs up every year.
Kenzie's gone, and we can't change that. And so there's no way that anything could help her, obviously. But the thought that it's going to help somebody else, even one person, is a big driver behind what we're doing. Help these brilliant people here and their dedication and their commitment to solve problems for others.
Kenzie's team has raised nearly $250,000 since starting in 2014, with plans to keep spinning.
Ken's will keep us going in that direction.
That was our Ellie La Liberté reporting. Cycle for Sight kicks off at the Princeton Club West on Saturday, March 15th. To register or to donate, just head to vision.wisc.edu.
A restaurant on the east side is temporarily closed after a Metro bus collided with it last night. Police are currently investigating that crash. They say a woman pushed and shoved a Metro bus driver, causing him to lose control of that bus. The building that was hit is home to QPS Employment Group and also a small family-owned business named Asian House. The owners and workers there say the back office is completely leveled. The restaurant's stainless steel kitchen appliances are dented. They say they are working with construction and insurance companies to recover from the damages.
And most of our customers are returning customers, and they've been here since they are a little kid, and now they are growing up taller than me. So I love to see them, and then we stay here for a long time. And I don't even want to leave for a week.
Bonnie Wong is one of the owners of Asian House. She says that her family started that business back in 2012 and that they want to reopen as soon as possible. Asian House is closed on Tuesday, so owners say no one was in the restaurant during the time of that collision.
New pictures from a barn fire in Dodge County that left the building a total loss. In the town of Trenton, the barn was reported on fire at about 8:30 last night on Jersey Road, just northwest of where County A and 151 meet. No injuries were reported, and firefighters are working to determine the cause.
Let's take a look at your first warning forecast. Meteorologist Blaze Keller out on the weather patio. Blaze?
It's not too bad out here. Cloudy, so slightly cooler than yesterday, but still warmer than average, in those 40s with a little bit of rain moving through, especially southern parts of the state right now. Mostly into Grant County, so we'll take a radar 3000 there, down into Lancaster, North Lancaster, back into southern Lancaster, and that's going to continue to slide its way south and eastward. Light to moderate rainfall. We find a little shower further south and westward as well. Maybe some radar clutter, but it does look like possibly moving out into the Hebron area, maybe into Palmyra over the next hour or so, this light rain shower too. It's very close to the radar out in Sullivan, so it might be radar clutter, but we are going to be continuing to watch the chance for light shower activity as we go overnight into your early early Thursday. We're going to continue to watch as northwesterly winds take on over, so that rain could switch over to a rain-snow mix by the time we're going into the morning commute time frame, so keep that in mind. But snow accumulation should be minimal to none as we move over the next few days. 30s tonight, right around freezing with that chance for light rain. We're going to track out a breezy Friday coming up in just a few minutes.
All right, Blaze, thank you. For years, a Dane County dog breeder has faced accusations of animal cruelty. It was in 2017 when a small team from Direct Action Everywhere took this footage when they broke in and stole 3 dogs. The video sparked a public dialogue which has been growing to ask regulators and law enforcement to look into the farm.
We can look at the DATCAP reports and know that the conditions inside of Ridgeland Farms are not great. You know, the dogs are in really tiny cages in their own filth, and some of them have medical needs that haven't been tended to.
Now, for its part, the farm says it has been operating lawfully for decades. They tell our Kyle Pozorski that the dogs are bred for use in medical research, helping to create new and better veterinary products that benefit your pets. Tonight on News 3 at 6, Kyle will bring you up to date on the accusations and tell you where a lawsuit against the breeder currently stands. The first measles death has been reported in the West Texas measles outbreak. State health officials say a school-aged child who was not vaccinated was hospitalized last week. There are 124 confirmed measles cases so far in this outbreak, which started in late January. 18 have been hospitalized.
Wisconsin is now joining 44 other states across the country in testing milk for bird flu.
Our Armand Rahman spoke to agriculture officials about how they plan to roll out the testing.
It may seem weird given that we're the dairy state, but Wisconsin has just joined the national initiative to test the state's milk for bird flu.
It's one of those things that's kind of an unknown.
Mitch Brining milks 400 cows at Mystic Valley Dairy in Sauk City.
We actually have rumination monitors or Fitbits for cows that all our cows wear, and we're watching our cows every day.
But knowing Wisconsin will now be testing milk for the avian flu is an added layer of security.
You know, I think you'd rather know that you have it rather than if you don't. Like, just pretend that you don't have it.
45 states are enrolled in the USDA's national milk testing strategy.
Secretary Omansky announced last week during a stakeholder call that Wisconsin would be participating.
Why so late? Because the dairy state lives up to its name with more than 5,000 dairy farms and 175 processors.
I think to rush into it would have been a mistake.
Dr. Darlene Conkle with the Department of Agriculture, Trade, and Consumer Protection says when the testing was announced last December, they started working on plans with UW's veterinary diagnostic lab.
That's part of our strategy to try to make it seamless. We're looking at getting testing samples at the farm level using a system that's already in place to test milk samples in our state on a regular basis for other things.
According to the USDA, about 5 states have affected herds so far.
I think some of the farmers are nervous about, what if we find the flu on our farm.
Since December, Wisconsin has only seen 3 cases of bird flu in domestic poultry. 90% of the state's dairy is pasteurized and made into cheese.
It's been proven that pasteurization does kill this virus.
But still, Dr. Conkle says farmers should be aware of symptoms in their herds.
A pretty rapid drop in milk production in their cows, and also drops off in feed and water intake. Might see fevers in the cattle.
Reporting in Madison, Armand Rahman at News 3 Now.
Well, if you live in the area surrounding the airport, you may have heard jets, maybe some helicopters and other aircraft flying over later in the evening hours. It's all part of continuing training through this week with the Wisconsin National Guard. From now through Friday, you can expect to hear aircraft until at least 7 in the evening or maybe as late as 2 or 3 in the morning. Guardsmen say they're taking extra precautions to ensure public safety and also to reduce noise to densely populated areas.
The Dane County Regional Airport is reporting its second highest passenger traffic in its history last year. Just under 2,350,000 passengers made their way through the airport last year. That's 1.4% shy of the record set in 2019. Michael Reichers with the airport's Communications and Marketing Department says Wisconsin winters contributed to their travel traffic.
American Airlines gave us Miami for winter, and Sun Country, Breeze, flying to Orlando, Fort Myers, Tampa. So number of airlines flying to Phoenix. It's a really popular formula to go from cold weather in the winter down to warm weather in the south.
And he added that airports are a use it or lose it type of industry. The more residents that use it in place of regional hubs like Milwaukee or Chicago, the more they can grow and expand flight offerings.
Well, still to come at 5, Blaze returns a more in-depth look at your first warn forecast.
And the moment a store explodes in Kansas, caught on camera. We'll tell you what happened and the extent of the damage just ahead.
On Wall Street, the Dow ends lower, off 188 points. NASDAQ sees its first gains of the week, up 49. The S&P up less than a point. We'll be right back.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5, moving forward.
A harrowing moment for firefighters in Kansas, narrowly escaping an intense building explosion that was caught on camera. It happened in Hutchinson as the crew was responding to reports of a gas leak at an auto parts store. Less than 30 seconds after evacuating the business, it suddenly exploded, sending the crew members running from the fiery blast. Thankfully, no one was hurt, but the evacuation order was expanded to the surrounding areas.
In Congress, the House provided a budget outline that experts warned would almost certainly result in cuts to Medicaid, which helps ensure lower-income Americans. This comes as President Trump says he will not support cuts to Medicaid, Medicare, or Social Security.
Meanwhile, lawmakers here in Wisconsin are debating a plan to expand Medicaid locally. Political reporter Will Keneally is at the Capitol with the latest.
Healthcare should not be a privilege afforded only to the healthy and wealthy. It's why I am again proposing to expand Badger Care.
That's Governor Evers from last Tuesday, announcing a plan in his state budget address to expand Medicaid coverage to more Wisconsinites who make less than the median household income for the state. So Wisconsin is one of a handful of states that did not expand Medicaid under Obamacare or the Affordable Care Act. But Wisconsin did take the unique step in partially expanding Medicaid coverage to 100% of the federal poverty level, meaning that anyone making around roughly $31,000 per year or less would be covered here in Wisconsin. Now, Governor Evers in his budget wants to increase that to 138% of the federal poverty level, meaning that anyone making roughly $43,000 annually or less would be covered under Evers' expansion there. Now, this would also cover the median household income for Wisconsin, which sits at roughly $42,000. Now, according to a new report from the conservative Wisconsin Institute for Law and Liberty, that report questions the benefits of expanding Medicaid here in Wisconsin, and that was something that Republicans touted earlier today.
Once again, Wisconsin has made the right decision by not expanding Medicaid.
While the governor says federal money coming in to support a Medicaid expansion would make this cheaper for Wisconsin, Republicans argue that taking that chunk of Wisconsinites out of the private insurance marketplace would raise the costs in that system.
So by keeping the expansion from happening in Wisconsin, we have had no individuals, or almost none, who don't already have access to health care, but we have ensured that we don't increase the cost on the private sector.
Reporting from the state capitol, Will Keneally, News 3 Now.
The state lawmakers are expected to remove the governor's Medicaid expansion proposal when they take over the state budget process this spring. Well, the Trump administration is moving forward with its plans to conduct large-scale layoffs across federal agencies. The Office of Management and Budget and the Office of Personnel Management issued a memo to agency leaders with guidance on how to conduct their reductions in force and the reorganization plans. Now, the first phase involves submitting lists of agency divisions and employees performing functions not mandated by law or regulation. For the second phase, OMB and OPM are asking for an outline of, quote, a positive vision for more productive, efficient agency operations going forward.
Department of Agriculture Secretary Brooke Rollins is outlining a new strategy she says will mitigate the spread of bird flu and lower egg prices. In a Wall Street Journal op-ed, Rollins says the USDA will invest $1 billion in the new plan. It includes spending $500 million to help enhance biosecurity on farms, cutting back on regulations on egg producers, and making it easier for families to raise backyard chickens, and possibly temporarily importing more eggs to reduce prices.
Sales of new single-family homes in the U.S. tumbled more than expected last month. It suggests the critical spring home buying season is starting off on weak footing. New home sales fell 10.5% in January, well below expectations. Existing home sales also fell in January, down nearly 5% from December. Rising home prices and persistently elevated borrowing costs are keeping buyers on the sidelines.
The Madison Common Council is approving the package of changes with the hope of making it easier to build housing in the city. The ordinance updates give more flexibility for accessory dwelling units, changing rules around floor layouts, bedrooms, and garages. They also streamline review processes, allowing non-historic buildings to be demolished without extra approvals. Madison is also launching a housing tracker online, monitoring development progress toward its goal of 15,000 new homes by 2030. Time now for a check of the weather. Blaze is in the studio with us for what we can expect for the rest of tonight and the rest of the week.
Yes, we are anticipating that rain-snow mix to continue tonight. It's going to be light in nature and continue into your Thursday as well. Once again in the morning, much like today, we get a break, and then maybe into the evening hours Thursday before we go into Friday. That's when it's going to be not only warm but windy as well, ahead of a sunny but cooler weekend, the start to March. Our Clipper system is continuing to exit the Midwest, so we could still be dealing with that rain-snow mix as we go into the overnight hours, most likely more rain than snow. But as cooler air continues to move on down, we may see some of that continue into the evening hours Thursday before our next stronger Clipper system moves in as we go into Friday. Friday is going to be mild as that Clipper still stays off to our north and east, but it's going to be windy as well before a high pressure system moves on in, reinforces the cold. We'll be in the 30s as we go into the start of the weekend, also the start of March. When we look at the snow totals over the next 7 days, this is likely including possibly some snow as we go into your Friday into Saturday. The GFS wants to bring down a little bit of snow to end Friday. We don't really see much. I'm not really sure what the GFS is picking up with this because we're not seeing it on the European model. This might be as we go into the middle of next week, but focusing on the more short term, we're looking at some light snow potentially, but not likely as we go into your Friday night into early Saturday. And even if we did see snow, because our ground has been so warm and our air temperatures will be in the 50s on Friday, a lot of that snow is either going to melt as it's falling or as it's settling on the ground. But we are going to be windy as we go into your Friday, especially once these winds turn out of the northwest as we head into your Friday afternoon. Gusts could be upwards of 40 to 45 miles per hour. And the reason is because this Clipper system is stronger in nature, but it's also taking a warm, moist air mass and quickly replacing it with a cooler, drier one in not only a short amount of time from Friday into Saturday, but also over a relatively short distance just across the Midwest. So when we see these white lines, these are what we call pressure lines, and when you're looking at them at the surface, that indicates some very breezy conditions. So it is going to be windy as we go into Friday as those winds turn from the south to the northwest Friday into Saturday, moving out that warm, moist air mass on Sunday with that cooler, drier one for your weekend. 40s for your Thursday. We're going to be back into those low to mid 40s underneath a mix of partly sunny to mostly cloudy conditions. Again, that rain snow mix chance in the morning. We get a brief break, maybe see some sunshine into the afternoon, and then that rain snow mix returns possibly to end Thursday going into early Friday. Right around the corner is the start of March, and the average high temperature is about 35 degrees to kick off the new month, and we're right about there, looking at about 32 degrees as of now as we look at the extended forecast. Low 50s to end February, and end meteorological winter will be in the 40s by next Monday.
Oh, wow. Sounds good. Thank you, Blaze. Next at 5, how 2 young men battling health challenges came together through the game of baseball and the Milwaukee Brewers. That story's just ahead.
You're watching News 3 Now at 5.
As winter starts to fade, signs of spring are popping up, including kids out on the field playing catch.
But for 2 young baseball fans from Ozaukee County, this season means more than just a game. Alex Gall reports.
2 boys are having a catch. If you drove by, you might think to yourself, it's a sign of spring coming soon. Not knowing, of course, that for them, spring has already come. Blake Baker and Tyler Morano are fresh off the plane from Arizona. You can see it from their warm smiles.
We both make each other laugh.
Sure.
They spent last weekend hanging with the Brew Crew, swapping stories with slugger Christian Yelich, tossing out the first pitch, and announcing the players coming up to bat.
Garrett Mitchell! I had a hat with Brian Braun and Joy Artis on the top.
The trip was put together by Aurora Healthcare, where both boys got treatment. Blake and Tyler live only 10 minutes away in Ozaukee County, but it was this trip and their families' shared experiences that sparked this friendship.
It was really good for them to know that they're not the only ones who have experienced something challenging.
Blake had a benign brain tumor removed just 1 year ago.
A lot of tests, a lot of procedures. We don't take a day for granted, and we try to look at the positive aspects of life.
And Tyler has progressive hearing loss.
The crack of the bat or the ball hitting the glove. So he actually likes the sounds that baseball makes because he can hear those with his hearing aids in.
This great American pastime has been bringing people together for centuries.
I think they're going to be lifelong friends.
Add 2 to that list. And so the next time you pick up a bat, toss a baseball, or pass kids practicing at the park, remember, that's what sports are really about.
And we'll be right back. Final check of your First One forecast after a short break.
Measles kills a child in Texas, the first person to die from the disease in this country in years. Could the outbreak in Texas spread?
And in our Eye on America, we look at a catastrophe 70 years in the making as a neighborhood in Southern California slides into the Pacific. That's tonight on the CBS Evening News.
Well, today is the 10-year anniversary of some serious llama drama. 2 therapy llamas, Lainey and Kanita, escaped during a visit to an assisted living facility in suburban Phoenix. Run! It led to a wild 2-hour pursuit by their handlers, residents, and sheriff's deputies. Some landscapers in a pickup truck eventually managed to lasso them.
They were tired of hearing about people's problems.
Yes, exactly.
On the lam. Let's go to Blaze. Final check of the forecast.
Yeah, we're looking at a chance for a rain-snow mix overnight into the start of your Thursday, hanging right around freezing tonight underneath mostly cloudy conditions. As we look ahead to your Thursday, that rain-snow mix, much like today, will end as we go into the afternoon, possibly returning into the evening hours, but I think will dry out through the rest of your Thursday, maybe even get some sunshine into the second half of your day before we climb into those 50s on Friday. It is going to be windy. Gusts could be upwards of 40 miles per hour. That is the last day of meteorological winter in February, so meteorological spring right around the corner. Saturday, March 1st, we're at 32 degrees, more sunny conditions and warmer temperatures Sunday, and then we're back into the 40s by the start of next week. 50s maybe by Tuesday. It is spring.
And it's almost March. March, It can be a bumpy month though, right?
And I hope it's not. Yeah. I just want an easy March for everybody.
I hear you. Yes.
Blaze, thanks. We're back in a half hour for News 3 Now at 6. Stay tuned now for the CBS Evening News.